Imagine this. As we gaze up at the night sky, it's possible that among those shining points of light lies a planet not only similar to Earth, but perhaps even better to live on. And that brings us to an intriguing question. Will humanity one day truly leave this world behind and call another planet home? To answer that, we need to explore the most promising candidates, the ones science has already classified as super-habitable. A term that by itself sparks curiosity because it doesn't just mean planets where we could survive, but worlds that could offer conditions even more favorable than those we have here. Imagine vaster oceans, more fertile continents, more stable stars, and planetary lifespans millions of years longer than Earth's. Places that wouldn't be seen as an emergency escape, but as true cosmic paradises. Among these paradises is the TRAPPIST-1 system, where 7 planets orbit an ultra-cool dwarf star. And the most fascinating part, at least 3 of them lie within the habitable zone. TRAPPIST-1e, for example, has mass, gravity, and composition very similar to Earth's, but its star could live up to 12 trillion years. That means, while our sun is breathing its final breaths, TRAPPIST-1 will still have fuel to burn for trillions of years. Now imagine such a planet with stability enough for life to evolve without rush, without the shadow of cosmic extinction. It would be like giving humanity an eternity to thrive. And if today we speculate about oceans, forests, and maybe even alien life forms on these worlds, the future may reveal they are, in fact, perfect sanctuaries for the continuity of civilization. Another standout world is Ross 128b, located just 11 light-years away. In cosmic terms, it's practically our neighbor down the street. And the most intriguing part is that it's moving closer to our solar system, meaning that in about 79,000 years, it will be the closest exoplanet to Earth. With an average temperature of 73 degrees, 23 degrees, ideal conditions for liquid water, and gravity nearly identical to ours. Ross 128b could be the first realistic target for interstellar exploration. Imagine living on a planet where the gravitational difference is so small we'd barely notice, except perhaps for carrying a few extra pounds on our bodies. Now picture the psychological impact, looking at the sky and knowing that, for the first time in history, humanity had planted roots beyond Earth. A world where the scales remain on Earth, but hope expands among the stars. And if we're talking neighbors, we can't leave out Proxima Centauri b, the closest exoplanet to us, just 4.2 light-years away. It orbits a red dwarf star and sits squarely in the habitable zone, although scientists believe it may have lost some of its water. There are theories that asteroids or volcanic activity could replenish entire oceans over thousands of years. Think about that. A planet so close that, with future propulsion technologies, it could be reached in just a few hundred years. That may sound like a lot, but on cosmic scales, it's almost like driving to the house next door. If this planet has a thick enough atmosphere, it may very well be the place where humanity finally builds its first interstellar colony. And in that case, it wouldn't just be about survival, but the beginning of a new era. The era of stellar civilizations. Now imagine Kepler 62f, a planet located 200 light-years away, orbiting a star a bit cooler than the Sun. At first glance, it seems like just another speck lost in space, but its position in the habitable zone makes it a strong candidate for life. With a radius about 40% larger than Earth's, its gravity could hold a denser atmosphere, creating a powerful shield against cosmic radiation. That would mean the surface could be safe enough to allow endless forests, crystalline oceans, and maybe even complex life to flourish. Imagine walking under a different sky, lit by a gentler star, on a planet offering humanity a kind of second chance. An environment even more stable than our own world. capable of sustaining life for billions of years. And let's not forget Kepler 22b, a true giant with twice Earth's size, orbiting a star very similar to our Sun. It became one of the first exoplanets discovered within a habitable zone, and that alone made it an icon in the search for new cosmic homes. Now think about the impact. A massive planet, where the horizon stretches farther than Earth's, and where oceans may cover vast regions, turning the surface into a true aquatic paradise. Although we still don't know if Kepler 22b is rocky or gaseous, the simple possibility that it has solid ground is enough to fire the imagination. If humanity ever lands there, the first view might be of endless seas, illuminated by a star that feels like home, but in a world twice as vast to explore. Now let's move to one of the most intriguing of all, K218b, located 124 light-years away in the constellation of Leo. This planet made headlines in 2019 when scientists detected signs of water in its atmosphere for the first time. And not only that, evidence suggests it may have a thick hydrogen atmosphere capable of sustaining entire oceans on its surface. Imagine what that means. A distant world with gigantic seas wrapped in exotic clouds reflecting bluish and violet light across the sky. If water is the basis of life, K218b may be one of the greatest promises yet for the existence of alien organisms. Now consider the impact for humanity. It wouldn't just be a place to colonize, but a real scenario for first contact, where maybe we wouldn't just travel to live, but to meet other forms of life. And finally, we arrive at what many call the Miss Universe of exoplanets. A planet so perfect that scientists rank it at the very top of the list of most promising candidates for human life. Not just because of size or gravity, but because of a combination of factors aligning almost as if custom-made. A position in the habitable zone, a stable star, a thick atmosphere, and an incredibly long planetary lifespan. Imagine such a place. Rivers that never dry, forests that never burn, and stability so impressive it would make Earth, with all its natural disasters, look like nothing more than a training ground for humanity's true home. This planet wouldn't just be an alternative. It would be the realization of a dream carried by every generation that ever looked up at the sky and imagined a paradise hidden among the stars.